Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Today's show, I got the latest Raiders news and rumors. And the first rumor around today's show, you got to pick one of these two, okay? Are you going to go with CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver out of Oklahoma, or are you going to go wide receiver from Alabama, Jerry Jeudy? So if you want CeeDee, type CeeDee. If you want Jerry Jeudy, type JJ. Because I saw this from NFL.com, and they're drafting Lamb over Jeudy. At first, I was like, well, I guess. I'm going to give it only 2 Chucky heads, and I'm going to say people are talking, okay? I am starting to like the idea of drafting CeeDee Lamb over Jerry Jeudy a little bit more and more, but until I am totally confident on it, I'm not going to give it more than 2 Chucky heads. Now, first off, NFL.com, they did a mock draft, and you know, I don't like to rip on people, but Bucky Brooks is not good at this kind of stuff. If you guys are looking for NFL draft stuff, go to Tom Downey at What Going Downey. But I will say this. Drafting CeeDee Lamb to me is starting to be more realistic for the Raiders than drafting Jeudy for multiple reasons. When you look at the offense in general, I think a player like CeeDee Lamb actually fits what the Raiders do a little bit better, getting the ball into a physical receiver's hands and letting him pick up yards after the catch. What does Derek Carr, what does this offense do? Get the ball out quick and hope the receivers can get yards after the catch. Now, both are special, okay? And when you look at both of their stats from this past year, you're going to say, man, can we really go wrong? Well, maybe, right? I mean, the wide receivers drafted in the first round, which we'll get to, have not always projected to be Pro Bowlers. But CeeDee Lamb is a very physical wide receiver. He is a receiver that I like very, very much. So I started the show off with a question, and I'm going to ask you literally the exact same question again, okay? Get your votes in. I want you debating. I want you to let me know in the comments who you'd rather have. CeeDee Lamb, type CeeDee. Or if you would rather have Jerry Jeudy, I want you to type JJ. Now, I'll give some shout-outs to some people here. So, Julio, what about Marcel Aitman? Not an option in the draft. Brian, Mandolin, a lot of CDs. CeeDee Lamb and T. Higgins, okay. We need Patrick Mahomes, Callie. Not going to happen. Noah Stanley says CeeDee. If I had to get my vote in, I would vote CeeDee Lamb at this point because I think he fits the Raiders' offense a little bit better. The next rumor on today's show, the Raiders need outside speed. Now, before I get into this one, okay, before I get into it, I want you to subscribe to the Raiders Report. So if you love the Raiders, if you bleed silver and black, if you can't get enough of it, if you scream Raiders and Raider Nation for life in the random moments, I want you to subscribe, youtube.com/Raiders Report. And I also want to give a shout out to some of the people who have recently subscribed. So Brandon Eggers, Roberto, NG Vlogs, Castro11, and Steven C. I appreciate that you guys subscribe. Tell your friends. Take the link that you see below, youtube.com/Raiders Report, and spread the word of the show. So the Raiders need outside speed. This one's for Chucky heads, believe it, baby. And it's from Mike Mayock himself. So, Mike Mayock, he was at the Senior Bowl, and he's going to get asked a lot of questions, not just because he's the Raiders GM, but because of the amount of people that respect Mike Mayock's opinion at the Senior Bowl, at the NFL Draft. People ask him a lot of questions. And, you know, he wasn't shy about his thoughts. So, he was asked, do the Raiders need outside speed? He said, we don't have enough outside speed. And wide receiver is a major need. And I think it's good that Mike Mayock is noticing that it is a major need. Now, this is a need that the Raiders have been trying to fill, FAB. And there's some talented receivers in free agency as well. But I want you to consider some of these things that Mike Mayock is saying, okay? So here's a quote at the Senior Bowl. We don't have enough outside speed. People are starting to load up on Josh and Darren. Our offensive line is a big, strong, tough group that we're happy with. But let's be honest. If we're going to take it to another level, that position needs to get better. I think we can all agree we want the Raiders to take it up to that extra level. Now, I like Mike Mayock, and I appreciate what he's saying, but I think what you need to look at is, okay, you're either going to add speed in the draft, or you're going to add speed in free agency. Now, here are 5 wide receivers that I mentioned as my top free agent targets. Now, I did not want Amari Cooper. We've already did that. But if you want to talk about talent, he is the most talented guy. If you want to see the complete list, this is another reason why you should subscribe. The receiver that I would say that's on this list, and if you guys want to vote 1, 2, 3, 4, who you'd rather have, go for it. That could be an actual option for the Raiders is Robbie Anderson, a player that the Raiders have been very, very interested in the entire season. Now, let's say they don't go in free agent market, okay? Because I'm starting to want the Raiders to avoid the receivers in free agency and go to the receivers in the draft. If you need outside speed, if you're looking for talent, I mean, CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and if you want outside speed, Henry Ruggs could seriously be there at 19, okay? Now, I would love for the Raiders to be able to get 2 out of CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, or Henry Ruggs. T. Higgins is where I think there is a little bit of a drop-off. Nothing against him. It's just CeeDee Lamb, Jeudy, and Ruggs. They're that much more talented to me. Laviska Shenault is very talented as well. The injuries do scare me a little bit. So, I showed you my top 5 free agent wide receivers, and I showed you my top 5 draftable receivers. So what should the Raiders do? Would you rather them draft or sign a receiver? It's obviously a big need. Mike Mayock knows it's a big need. Now, I'm going to make this the pinned comment on this video, okay? So if you watch this on YouTube, you might get hit with an ad break. While that ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down, and I want you to vote. Should the Raiders draft or sign a wide receiver? My third rumor on the Raiders report. Mike Mayock is cautious about a first-round wide receiver. Now, I wanted to put this in the show, but before I give you how many Chucky heads this rumor is, I do want to talk to you guys about BMW of Santa Maria, okay? If you're in the market for a car now, 2 months from now, 5 months from now, call or text BMW of Santa Maria. The number is on screen. Ask for my guys, Matt and Rudy. They're going to help you out. Whether you have questions about your car, about cars in the future, okay? All I'm saying, if you need help out for a car, Toyotas, Hondas, it doesn't matter. They're knowledgeable, and they're going to help you out, okay? Promise you. So, cautious about a first-round wide receiver. This one is also for Chucky heads, believe it, baby. The reason why I wanted to put this on my show is because people are taking what Mike Mayock said out of context. So they're saying like, oh, he's worried about receivers in the first round. The Raiders aren't going to draft one. That's not true, okay? All Mike Mayock said was just go back and look at recent years. Just because you draft a receiver in the first round, that doesn't make him a Pro Bowler. That doesn't make him an instant impact player. That's basically what he said. Now, he said it's early, but I certainly think that there's a lot of wideouts in this draft. It's a deep wide receiver draft. Now, you have to be careful, especially the higher you go. That's what he said, and it's true, because when you draft a player in the first round, there's more implications, there's higher expectations than if you draft a player in the fourth round, right? I mean, Cleveland Ferrell, the only reason why people were mad is because he was drafted 4th overall. If he was drafted in the 4th round like Max Crosby, people would be like, he was a steal of the draft. All Mike Mayock said is, it's early, they do need a wide receiver, but the higher you go, it is a little bit more risky. But also, if you look at the receivers drafted in the first round the past 3 years, I mean, none of them made the Pro Bowl. Now, I think Marquise Hollywood Brown's got some promise. N'Keal Harry battled injuries. I do like DJ Moore out of Maryland. Calvin Ridley, another player who's been kind of healthy here and out. Corey Davis was drafted in 2017. He's been kind of, I was going to say battling Marcus Mariota. Mariota, I think, is what held back Davis a little bit. But Mike Williams, another player, injuries. John Ross, sure, he's fast, but another player who hasn't lived up to expectations. All he said was, just because you draft a receiver in the first round doesn't mean he's going to be a Pro Bowler right away. So we've already gone through 3 rumors, okay? If you're new to the show and you're wondering, Mitch, what the heck do these Chucky heads mean? Here's my Chucky head rumor explainer. 1 Chucky head is a small shred of truth, means the rumor, probably not going to happen. 2 Chucky heads, 50-50. 3, I like to think 75% chance of happening. And then 4 Chucky heads is believe it, baby. This rumor is 100% going to happen. So I do have 3 more rumors to get into here on the Raiders report. And the first one is around Phillip Rivers. I know how much y'all dislike Phillip Rivers, but this is the prime example of keeping your friends close, keeping your enemies closer, okay? So Rivers is done with the Chargers. I think it's 3 Chucky heads pretty likely. It is right there to be in 4 Chucky heads, okay? So if you guys saw this, Jay Glazer said he doesn't think Rivers will be a Charger. So originally, everyone was like, oh, Jay Glazer said Phillip Rivers is not going to be a Charger. He went back and said that he basically thinks that, the Chargers are likely to move on from Rivers, who is a free agent. Now, last week, Rivers moved his family out of San Diego, and then they moved to Florida to be a little bit closer to family. The reason why I really want to talk about this and the reason why it matters is because the Chargers have the 7th pick in the 2020 draft. There's been a lot of rumors around quarterbacks. There's been a lot of rumors around what the Raiders could potentially do. I'm still saying that you stick with DC, but you're going to continue to see rumors around quarterbacks. The other thing is, if you look at right now, the quarterback depth chart for the Chargers, it's not pretty. And they don't have an option there, I think, for the future. No disrespect to Tyrod Taylor, Easton Stick. They're not the future of that team. We can all agree on that. But when teams need quarterbacks, what happens? Other primetime players, they start sliding down the board. So if the Chargers are going to go out and get a quarterback, guess what? I'm okay with it. It wouldn't even shock me at this point if they wanted to try to trade up for a quarterback. So here are 5 quarterbacks that I think that the Chargers could potentially target in the first round. Joe Burrow's not on here because he's going to the Bengals. Say it with me. The Raiders aren't drafting Joe Burrow. Now, Tua to me is an interesting option, even though the Dolphins, I think they want to get him. Justin Herbert's an option. I don't really think Jake Fromm, Jordan Love, Jacob Eason deserve to be in top 10 conversation. I've seen it some places. Those places I think are a little bit crazy. The 2 names, though, when I think you're considering for the Chargers at 7 is Tua or Justin. Speaking of Justin, are the Chargers interested in Justin Herbert? I've had a lot of people ask me about Herbert because he played at Oregon, and I know a lot of y'all are on the West Coast. I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, and I think it's pretty likely that they're interested in him. Now, if Phillip Rivers is no longer the quarterback, they have a need at quarterback. And if you want to talk about somebody that absolutely just crushed it at the Senior Bowl, I mean, it's Herbert, right? He won practice and game MVP. I think he's going to be a top 10 pick now in the draft. And if the Chargers are most likely to move on from Rivers, it would not shock me whatsoever if they went out and drafted Herbert. Heck, if the Dolphins want Tua, and if the Dolphins might even be interested in Herbert, it might not even shock me at this point if you see the Chargers maybe even try to trade up to maybe pick number 4 where the Giants are and go out and get Herbert or another quarterback. Now, for me, I want you guys to just do your homework on Herbert. I want you to start looking him up a little bit because if the Raiders are going to have to start going up after him, I want to know his strengths and I want to know his weaknesses. Now, we do have another special sponsor today. It's Pro Flowers. So if you need flowers for your loved ones, go to chatsports.com/flowers. Guys, Valentine's Day, it is right around the corner. And I got a special deal for you, okay? 15% off flowers and gifts. So if you need something for your significant other, your wife, your mom, your daughter, anyone, we got you covered. 50% off flowers and gifts. If you need to get out of the doghouse, cookies too, they help. chatsports.com/flowers. Last rumor on today's show, and we're speaking about love, right? That's what Raiders Report's all about. Spreading the love, Pro Flowers. Are the Raiders interested in Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State? I'm going to give this one 2 Chucky heads, and people are talking, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys saw this, but Love, he met with the Raiders last week. The reason why I think this is interesting is because Love personally said, I'd love to play for the organization if they drafted me. That doesn't surprise me. Any player is going to say that. However, it's this idea. If you're going to draft Jordan Love, you sit him behind Derek Carr for the 2020 season. Okay? I saw somebody say, Mitch, we want Patrick Mahomes. I'm not saying Jordan Love is Patrick Mahomes, but Jordan Love has extremely high upside. Let's not forget that. And when Patrick Mahomes was asked about his progression, he learned how to be a pro behind Alex Smith. Whether y'all like Derek Carr or not, he is a very good pro. And if your idea is to mold a quarterback, maybe go out and draft Jordan Love, let him sit behind Carr in 2020, become a pro, and then when it's time to move on from Carr, if he doesn't get it done, then you have Jordan Love, who does have extremely high upside, no doubt about it. But there's the tale of 2 seasons for Love, right? You're going to look at his 2019, and then you're going to look at his 2018. I don't really want to just look at just stats because Jordan Love is finally going to have an opportunity to play with NFL caliber players. Something he's never had at Utah State. That might be hard for you to believe. But when I see a player do 32 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and go back and watch Jordan Love's tape, it's special in 2018. 2019 to me just seemed like he was trying to do a little bit too much. I like Love. I like his upside. But I will say this. The only way that I want Jordan Love on this football team is if he sits behind Derek Carr, if he learns from Derek Carr, and if Derek plays well, well then, hey, then we have a tough decision to make. But Jordan Love, he is a quarterback that I like. So should the Raiders draft Jordan Love? Type Y for yes or type N for no, okay? I want you to get your votes in here. I want you to let me know what y'all are thinking. Should the Raiders draft Jordan Love? Y for yes, N for no. The Front Porch Media says no. Raymond says no. I'm seeing a lot of no. Seeing some yeses now starting to flow in here. Not in the first round. I agree. Like, Jordan Love to me is probably going to go in the first round. That is something that we need to consider, okay? I know I've said that I don't really want the Raiders to draft a quarterback in the first round. I did see a kind of a crazy idea on the internet where the Raiders give up all 3 third-rounders for an extra first-rounder. I don't know if that's how it works, but type Y for yes, type N for no. Should the Raiders draft Jordan Love? Now, I've been trying to figure out the people that watch my videos until the very end, because I appreciate when you guys do that. So if you watch this video to the very, very end, I want you to DM me and follow me on Instagram at Mitchell Renz 365, the word yo, okay? Can you do that? Cool. So some of the people that have recently just followed me on Instagram, we got Midway, Wait for Pete. What up, Midway? GLR, Joey Bauer 209, SZ Man from Germany, I believe, and then C period Raider 213. If you guys made it to the end of the video, if you want a shout out on future shows, follow me, DM me, get to know me a little bit at Mitchell Renz 365. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.